Good morning. I'm Lindsay here with Mr. Ross to discuss our new school schedule on January 5th, 2021. Hello.
How are you, Lindsay?
I'm good. How are you?
Pretty good.
Can you tell us the new schedule and where we could locate the schedule?
Sure. So the new schedule is going to have us starting and ending a little bit later while we remain virtual. So we will begin at 8 o'clock instead of 7:30. Each live class is going to be 55 minutes instead of 40 minutes. There's going to be a 10-minute break in between second and third block. We know that we're asking people now to be in front of the screen for a longer period of time. So we know you're going to have to get up, stretch your legs, use the restroom, get a snack. And the classes will end at noon, which we need to do so that way our students who have tech school can eat lunch before they have their live tech school classes at 12:45.
How long have you been planning this new school schedule for the students?
So it's something that we've been talking about for a while. We've talked about it in a number of different settings, both within the school and with some district teams. The conversation really came up because we are seeing greater success with work that's being done during the live sessions than we are with asynchronous work. So the conversations probably began in November. I would say probably early November. And then I sent a formal proposal to Dr. Williams at the beginning of the month.
Why did you decide to make the schedule pushed back to 8?
So we're trying to do what's best academically for students. One of the things that we have seen in almost every classroom across the school is that attendance at 7:30 in the morning is really poor. When I go into first block classrooms, the number of students who arrive late to class is alarming. And that is reflected in our grades and our failure rate for first block classes. I think it would be irresponsible of us if we knew that this was an issue and didn't try to address it. Now, there might be students who say 8 o'clock is not late enough, but we do have to start early enough so that we can finish in time for tech students to take their classes in the afternoon.
What kind of changes will this cause for in-sync time and in-sync workload?
So I think it's going to help us to shift more of the work so that you can do it with the support of your teacher. One of the things that is leading to us expanding the amount of synchronous time is that, quite frankly, in a lot of cases, asynchronous work is not getting done. And when it is getting done, it's getting done late, right? It's getting done at the mid-mark deadline, at the end of the quarter. And that might be okay in terms of helping a student pass the class, right? You're still getting a grade for it, but you're not learning it in the moment. And the teachers, the work that we assign, if it's meaningful right now today, the student doing it 4 weeks from now for 60% of the grade isn't helping to learn the material.
Why do you believe that 30 minutes will really make a difference in the first block attendance?
Well, what we're hoping is that it's enough of a difference. It gives people a little bit more time to wake up and get moving. If we think about when we do return to school, which hopefully is coming soon, 8 o'clock is rather late, right? By 8 o'clock, some of us have been there for over an hour. But when class involves walking from your room to your living room or just going to a different part of your bedroom, 8 o'clock is something where, we hit the snooze button, we're really hoping that this half hour does make a difference. I know that there's still going to be a temptation to sleep in, but honestly, I think if we started school at 9:30 in the morning, we'd still have some students who would want to sleep in that late. So is it going to be perfect? No, I'm not going to pretend that it is, but I do think that extra half an hour will help us out.
If you were going to extend the class times, why do you feel the need to start school later?
Again, it's really what the data is showing us. Our attendance rate first period is really bad. And the number of students who are coming in late during first block is really bad. There's always, even in a regular school year, sometimes people are late because they need to be late, and we understand that. But when in some classes, I mean, we start the class and half the class isn't there yet, which means that whatever the teacher is teaching and students are learning for the first 5, 10, 15 minutes is lost on those students who are late. So the data is showing us that students who took CDT testing, one of the things that we saw was that first block classes, the growth was about, it was minuscule compared to the rest of the day. The rest of the day was at least triple the growth that we had during first block.
Who decided to make the change?
It was really a group effort. A lot of conversation amongst the administration, department chairs, district leadership, also a lot of informal conversations with other teachers. I think we're all seeing a lot of the same things. We're seeing that asynchronous work is something that's really hurting students' grades and academic performance, and that first block continues to be a problem.
What led to the changes occurring?
Just trying to problem solve. We don't want to know that there's an issue and not try to fix it. I think that would be irresponsible on our part.
Why weren't students allowed to vote on it before the change was applied?
Well, I'm a big fan of getting, student input on a lot of things, right? But at the same time, we know what the data is telling us. And I don't want to be disrespectful to students by asking for input. And if everyone said, no, I don't want to change the schedule, and we knew it had to change, I feel like I'd be disrespecting students by asking for input and then essentially ignoring that input. I also feel like I'd be disrespectful to students to know that we are really struggling at times in terms of attendance and academic performance and not trying to make changes. So I know that this might not be a popular decision with some students, but I really do think that in the long run, this is something that we needed to do.
Was there any consideration about the students that need to tutor a sibling at 10:30 after their classes?
There is. When we put this schedule together in the summer, part of the reason why the high school started so early and ended so early was we know that a lot of students are helping younger siblings. And we know that that is really difficult, right? Before this interview started, I was telling you, how I knew my day was going to be really tough because I'm trying to do the same with my daughters, right? And I'm not trying to compare my situation to that of a student. It's a little bit easier for me, right? Because, I'm an adult, and quite frankly, my schedule is a little more flexible than yours is, right? I don't have someone telling me I have to be in class at 9 o'clock in the morning. So I do know that that's really difficult. And I do know that there might be occasions where students might have to step away to help a younger sibling. And I think our approach to that is going to have to be to try and handle that in a mature and professional manner, right? Letting your teacher know, I'm really sorry, Mr. Doyle. I'm going to have, can I step away for 5 minutes? My little brother, needs my help. I think our teachers really have a much better understanding now than we did in the beginning of the year of, all the juggling that students are doing to make this work. And we do know that this is going to make that a little bit more difficult. What we also know, though, is that once we go to a hybrid schedule, about half of our students are going to remain virtual. And even those that are coming in are going to be home on other days. And once the first student comes into school, the entire school day is going to be 7:30 to 2:12. So it was that knowledge that even though we said we know that some students are going to struggle with this because they have to help siblings, we know that some will have to change work schedules, but we also know those changes have to come anyway. And while we're trying to be flexible and accommodate the needs that you have at home, we also don't want to have you get to the end of your courses and the end of your high school experience and not get the academic rigor that you're supposed to get. So we're trying to balance things. We know this is going to make it a little more difficult. And I also want you to know that we will work with people. We can't excuse you from classes, right? But let us know what you're struggling with and let us try to help you with it.
Did you put any thought into the fact kids might need to work to help their families and now they can't because they have to do things after that time?
So this has been one of the most challenging parts of of all this, right? And it's very similar to the conversation about helping siblings. I know that a number of our students, even in the best of times, have to work a lot of hours to help their families. There's other students who, who work, at night. There's other students who work on the weekend, but I know there are a lot of students who've gotten accustomed to being able to go to work at 11 o'clock in the morning. Our number one responsibility has to be school, right? And I'm not discounting the need to go to work and the need to help families. But employers also have an obligation to make sure that students who are working are able to attend school when they're supposed to. And knowing that, again, it won't be long, hopefully, before the school day doesn't end until 2:12, which means that students won't be able to start working until after 2:12. And the law says that those things are non-negotiable. And during a regular school year, we have many students who work a lot of hours, but we don't allow people to, miss large amounts of school to go to work. If students are having trouble changing their schedule with an employer, I am happy to help them with that. You get working papers for a couple of reasons. And one of those reasons is that so employers know that you are a student and that your number one obligation has to be education. And I know that, times are really tough, right? Not just in our Norristown community, but all over the place. And so families do need income from students. But I also want to think about long term, right? That in the long run, that high school diploma and post secondary education, job training, career training, those are things that are going to make it easier down the road, for us to support ourselves and our community.
Will this affect our dual enrolled college schedules?
So if there are any students that have any conflicts because of the new schedule with education, whether it be students that are taking a dual enrollment class, or if there happens to be a conflict with the tech school, which there shouldn't be, we've worked with them a lot. We do know that we have some students that are in different circumstances, and just reach out to us, and we will find a way to make this work. So I don't think we're going to have many conflicts, but if we do, just let us know.
Is there anything else you would like to add?
No, just that I do realize that this is a big change, and it's the first of many big changes coming. I know that when we go to that full school day, it's going to be an even bigger change, and I think it's our job to do what we always do, right? To try and make sure that we can get you engaged academically. This has been a long, winding road from March to now, and we've got a lot more twists and turns coming. But just work with us and stick with us. And, if it feels like this isn't working, one of the things that I've really loved is kids reach out to me a lot and let me know what they're thinking. And I'm always happy to hear from you. I'm happy to know what you think is working and not working, because that goes into our decision making as well.
Thank you for talking with us today, Mr. Roth.
Thanks for having me.
And thank you so much for watching. Make sure to have your new school schedule in place. Bye.